Hey everyone, this is a clip from a recent episode of the Men of Steel podcast where we talk about Superman and Superman adjacent topics. If you enjoy this clip, check out the podcast. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your shows. But yeah, why don't we move on to the next one, which is like getting back to a proper Superman score. And that is, we're talking about the Man of Steel score by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
This one, so Man of Steel gets a lot of hate, and I know that both of you, Case and Jmike, fall kind of in the middle on it. You don't hate it, and I think that's the kind of the proper level-headed reaction, which the internet never has. Like, I will say that Henry Cavill is an incredible Superman. Regardless of the material he had to work with, he was incredible, and it paved the way for all of his other strong-jawed characters that he got to play, like Geralt now in The Witcher. But like, Hans Zimmer is a talented composer, but he has a bit. He has a shtick. He's the synth guy, and that's fine. Like, and I love his scores. His Wonder Woman theme is probably one of my favorite Wonder Woman themes.
That's true.
Ever. Like, it just
rips.
goes so damn hard. And Man of Steel does the same. And I think what it gets right is the dramatics, which we talked about earlier, and it absolutely has the horns and the strings, but it's all synthetic. It's all like designed to feel a little alien, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of the themes previous are very familiar, feel very, I understand this. Whereas this is meant to feel a little more alien, a little stranger, and a little more ominous. And I think for the movie we got, love or hate, it fits. And it works.
I think there is a better Superman movie within the context of this theme.
Yes.
Because the piano motif, it was very clearly designed to evoke Clark Kent. And the drum-y kind of themes. Like, I remember watching behind-the-scenes videos of like, we were trying to evoke the epicness of Superman and the percussiveness, so we got like 50 of the best drummers into the same room to do the drums for this theme.
Because Pharrell was one of them too. They brought Pharrell in.
Yeah, Pharrell was one of them.
Oh shit.
But I really, and this is something that you'll hear from me, especially towards the end when we talk about the last Superman theme, is that I think I gravitate a lot more in terms of favorite Superman themes to the ones that speak more to the man than actually the superhero. And to me, the piano theme is very much a precursor to what we hear on Superman and Lois, in the sense of like, it is speaking a lot to more of what I wished this interpretation of Superman with Zack Snyder was aiming for, which was the man. And like that at the end of the day, it's just a dude who's trying his best and trying to get through the world. And that's what the piano theme evokes to me. But then all of a sudden it gets washed into the whole of like a bajillion drums going.
Yeah.
And that's great. I think that's cool, but we've heard a lot of that in terms of the rhythmicness of a Superman theme.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the piano, like evoking Clark Kent and talking about how it sounds more alien. Like, I have a note specifically that this is the one where the horns are there and they are saying something, but they are not saying Superman. They are saying Kal-El. Like, like when you listen to it, like you can hear Kal-El, Kal-El. Like, there's this. It feels like this person finding out who he is.
They are very otherworldly,
and then,
to some degree.
Yeah, and that percussiveness is him being forced to identify himself in this like frantic pace of the movie. Like I say, it's not a march, it's a sprint. That once those drums pick up, he's got to make a decision, like, which side is he on? Is he an alien or is he a man?
And an interesting thing that I just noticed, and I'm like, this is definitely what the motivic development was for this film. Krypton's theme shares a similar progression to the Kal-El theme in the da-da, with the horns. Like, instead of it going up, if I'm not mistaken, it goes down, or it goes down in a different way, because it was like da 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 or something like that, and it just, I think very clearly they were trying to weave more of the Kryptonian heritage into the Superman of it all.
Yes, I want to be honest. This is my favorite Superman score.
Understandable.
Okay. Yeah, because
it slaps.
I totally can see that.
It does, but like, I had a real love-hate relationship with this movie when it first came out, as Case can very well verify. And like the more we learned about like the background, the history of everything that was happening at DC at that time.
Yeah.
Because they came up with Earth 1 Superman while this was with Man of Steel was being done. And
They did.
you see like what could have been.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
could have been, and then we got Man of Steel. But as for the music part, this score is very it's very enrapturing. It's very like epic and iconic, and I'm like, oh wow, this feels amazing.
There's such a better movie in there.
Yeah, it's such a better movie in the score than when it actually came on the screen. But this is my favorite. Sorry, I love it.
I mean, I think that there's a reason why this is not called Superman. This is called Man of Steel, which obviously is a callback to like his nickname, but like also is going to evoke the 1980s like relaunch of the character after Crisis on Infinite Earths, where it's a new origin for the character. And like all the themes we're talking about, all the things we like about this are things that are in the movie, which is this entity, this child sent to Earth, coming to understand who he is and deciding at the end of the movie to be Superman. Like it's his origin story, and so as a theme for the origin of Superman, I think it works really, really well. I think that once he's an established character, it starts to lose that because it is about him making the choice to be Superman, as opposed to having already decided to be Superman, which is what I feel like the John Williams score is.
And I feel like, look, Zack Snyder, take him or leave him, right? Like, I've loved stuff by him, I've hated stuff by him. But I think there is a care for this character in this movie somewhere. I think the problem is that he kind of gets lost in the minutia instead of focusing on the most important thing, which is he is a symbol for hope. Having a dark Superman story can work, but the hopelessness that's throughout the entire movie, I think, is what drags this down. And like that hopelessness isn't in this theme or in the scoring. Like there are allusions to Clark and hope, and I think that if the movie had more of that, it would have had a stronger impact than it did, because there is good in this film. And I think this theme is a good example of where that is. And who knows, right? A lot of stuff goes into movies. We don't know how much of it is Zack, how much of it is Warner Brothers, how much of it is whatever. But we definitely didn't get the movie that this theme led us to believe. And it's sad because it's definitely in there somewhere.
I also just really remembering really loving the trailers to this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I went to a midnight premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, and I had known prior that we were going to get a sneak peek of this movie ahead of the Dark Knight Rises, and I just remember sitting there in the theater. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're gonna go all the way with this character, because it like they just the imagery was so beautiful. And like they used Gandalf's death theme to sort of evoke like this really like balanced, textured feeling of what it might mean to take on the mantle of Superman. I'm imagining the trailer company did a really good job of saying like there's a really good movie in here in this kind of like very messy, more sci-fi-y angle to Superman.
The trailer starts off with like a little kid running through the field, and then he puts on like the cape, and he's like standing there with his arms on the side, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's getting that piano theme that Dan talked about at that spot. Yeah, like I said, it's really good for an origin, which means that it's really good for a trailer. Like everything about it from the outset like looks amazing. Like again, Cavill is great. Like I think he looked the part perfectly. And I generally come down on Man of Steel being a good Superman movie. Like I'm more positive towards it than I think a lot of people are. I think that its follow-ups are the thing that kind of prevented from having like the great legacy. Like I think if it had a really strong sequel, then you could look at it as being like, okay, yeah, there's a couple bumps, but it's like a pretty strong start to the franchise. And then, it's like Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2. But instead there's no Spider-Man 2. It goes to Batman vs. Superman.
Can you imagine the world where we got a Man of Steel 2? I feel like we would think about it so much differently than we do.
Absolutely. It's so common for, especially in comic book movies, for a later sequel to justify an earlier movie. I talked about this all the way back on Another Pass when Case and I did the Wolverine. It's like Logan made that movie better because it alluded to stuff from that movie that made the narrative through line stronger, even though a lot of Wolverine's solo stuff at that time had not been great. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think a Man of Steel 2 that focused on him being Superman and coming to grips with that decision he made on General Zod and like living with himself and it inspiring him to do good instead of just being this dark moment would have given for a much better arc for this character instead of just yelling the name Martha.
Why'd you say that name, man? Why'd you say that name?
Why'd you say that
name?
Remember, if you like the clip, after you're done liking and subscribing, check out certainpov.com, where you can find more episodes of the show, as well as a ton of other great shows.